I would like to open a little bit to explain or support in explaining how the Fairtrade system works to put farmer voices up front. Fairtrade system is divided in two big, let's say, member organizations. On one side, the farmers and workers, and on the other side, the market actors. In Fairtrade, farmers and workers have 50% of the shares of all the votes, and they can veto also our decisions. This is essential for us to raise the voice in the decisions when we establish standards. Fairtrade has standards for a lot of agriculture products, but also non-agriculture products like textiles, mining products, precious metals, but also carbon credits. Now, for climate and environment, our mission and our strategy recognize the importance to address climate change as a critical element for all partners of the society, all partners of the food system. It's a role that has to be played by consumers, but also by the farmers, the workers, and those that are in the middle trading the products. Our strategy for climate and environment is divided in three. First, what we call climate action. Why climate action and not climate adaptation, you may ask? Well, because adaptation and mitigation are part, in our view, are part of the same paradigm. One needs to be together with the other, and looking for the complementarities between the approaches. Then the second big pillar is how these elements can be reinforced with evidence to make a clear communication about the outcomes and the impact of such. We frame our strategy based on nature-based solutions approaches, understanding also the planetary boundaries and enforcing the principles of agroecology. We work towards different dimensions, social, environmental, and economic dimensions, understanding the risks that are associated to producing sustainably, from child labor elements to biodiversity. In the environmental dimension, again, embedded in our so-called human rights and environmental due diligence process, we have criteria in our standards for enhancing environmental management, pest management and hazardous materials use, soil and water, biodiversity, I will explain a little bit further, waste, genetic modified organisms that are prohibited in the Fairtrade standards, and climate change adaptation and mitigation. Specifically, we have established in our generic standard for producer organizations criteria for developing and implement climate adaptation plans. For biodiversity, our criteria include elements such as conservation of protected areas, protection of forests and vegetation, prevention and remediation of those risks associated with deforestation and forest degradation, enhancing biodiversity, maintaining buffer zones, protecting the wild biodiversity around, and raising awareness about rare and threatened species. These elements are for sure helping producers to advance in not just productivity, but productivity that is responsible for the nature and for the communities. As the Declaration for Human Rights clearly said that environmental elements are part of human rights. But amending standards is not an easy task. It's usually challenged by new market regulations, it's challenged by market incentives, and of course, the cost of compliance. The costs that are associated to these products are not necessarily recognized by market price mechanisms. This is something that is a struggle for producers, therefore, the challenge to work towards living income and living wage as a precondition to start advancing in climate actions. For Fairtrade to understand what is their responsibility, we have commissioned several studies to understand the carbon footprint and biodiversity footprint of some of our products. The tendency is that being fair trade enables producers to have a lower footprint compared to benchmarks, and the fact that most of fair trade producers are also organic certified or adding into their farm practices organic farm practices is a main factor that contributes to this tendency. Now, in our conversations with commercial partners on the other side of the market, often the question is about how I can lower my Scope 3 emissions. How can I partner with producer organizations to have a more accurate carbon accounting process? Therefore, the carbon footprint is an important element, where we are also asking companies to invest beyond and insetting carbon within and together with the producers. As an example, I would like to flag one that is quite particular, no? Flowers. Flowers are being certified by Fairtrade. In our analysis, flowers mostly come from South America, Ecuador, Colombia, and north of Africa, Ethiopia, and Kenya. And in our analysis, the footprint of flowers is quite low compared to other flower-producing countries in Europe. And more probably you will not know this, but trading flowers from Africa to Europe implies that flowers needs to be maintained, the chain needs to be maintained, the temperature, so the flowers can be fresh in the market. Therefore, the flower needs to take a flight to be landing in the market. And the transportation, therefore, is a huge part of the carbon footprint. Nonetheless, producing flowers in warehouses in the Netherlands because of the high consumption of energy implies that those flowers in Europe have a higher footprint. This is just an example of the type of analysis we are doing. I can later give more details in case someone is interested to explore further. But I want to conclude saying that for us, carbon credits and biodiversity elements associated needs to be embedded in the dynamics. We heard a lot about Article 6 and Article 6.2, 6.4, the voluntary mechanisms, the official mechanisms for carbon trading, how these carbon mechanisms and biodiversity compromises can work to really foster the climate actions that are such needed in farmers that are already providing outcomes towards their landscapes and their and towards the climate. I would like to stop here and now welcome Ina, my colleague from the network of AgriCord, that will moderate a very inspiring discussion with farmers from Latin America, Asia, Africa, about the challenges farmers are facing to put these elements up front. I just gave an example of fair trade. We know that there's many other standards out there, and that's the reason why we think these discussions to put farmers' view up front in the standard setting for carbon markets and biodiversity markets matters. Thank you. Hina?
Thank you, Juan Pablo, and welcome all the audience. So my name is Tina Hovio, and I work as Executive Director for Food and Forest Development Finland, a Finnish agri-agency, which is a member of AgriCord. And the whole DNA of AgriCord is based on understanding farmers. We are supported by farm organizations of our respective countries, many from the north, but also from the global south. And we are supporting our peers in global south. We wanted to have here some farmer testimonies on these carbon offset programs or certifications that, you know, give recognition for nature-based production or biodiversity. We know that many consumers give a high value for these, and we're trying to have a fair balance between the producers and consumers, And therefore, we have invited here, we have farmers from 3 different continents, which I think is fantastic. We have Ana Laura Sayago from Argentina. We have Aurelia Nandwa from Kenya, who is on the screen. And we have Sokha, who is from Cambodia, but also active in World Farmers Organization. Finally, we have Mahamadi Gaba from Mali, West Africa, who will kind of, conclude the farmer views of the panelists. But I would like now to give floor for the panelists, and the first is really to tell a bit more about yourself and the organizations that you're working for and your experiences on this kind of schemes. And I was thinking that I would like to start with Ana Laura, who is here sitting beside me. Please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Tina. Hello to everyone. It's a pleasure to me to participate representing a big movement from Latin America and also for the world. I work in the north of Argentina in an ecoregion called Gran Chaco Americano, which is the second largest forest after the Amazon in whole Latin America, which is part of Argentina, Bolivia, also Paraguay, and a little part of Brazil. These ecoregions, I work with beekeepers, at least 400 families, united in a network of value chains of the honey and organic honey, with different monoflower honey from native species there. So our brand, Miel Guaira, which means wind in Quechua, represent that biodiversity. And my co-op has at least 32 years of experience working on the territory with the producers. And I'm pretty engaged with the youth inclusion and gender, and officially right now of the climate action methodology and strategies that Fairtrade has as a movement. So my main point to be really interesting of this issue, as Tina said and Juan Pablo named it before, is because I think we are adding all the time different aspects or maybe certification, new concepts to trying to explain the reality, And I think the reality for the farmer right now, at least from my perspective, is organic, it is fair trade, and is biodiverse. So that could be, or maybe should be, simple and not more complex than already it is, That is my main point, and for sure I'm going to speak a little bit more about nature-based system productions, but I want to say and add to that concept another simple concept to say nature social based relationships or system productions.
Thank you, Ana Laura. I would like to then pass the word to Soksota from Cambodia. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. My name's Sota, you call me Sotas. I am also a farmer. I born in the family farmer. My family grow rice, and I also work for the farmer organization in Cambodia called Cambodian Farmer Federation Association of Agricultural Producers, and a member of the World Farmer Organizations. And myself is a board member of the World Farmer Organization here, that we represent 6 continents worldwide, from Asia, from Africa, from Europe, Oceania, Latin America, North America, and yeah. So we represent smaller farmers, mediums, and large farmers from the 6 continents. So within the organizations, since 2019, the organizations discuss about the climate change and related closely to the carbon market for farmers and the family farmer. And At the times, there are 7 recommendations from members. Among those, agriculture and climate change are in their agendas and develop forward the principle within the WFO recently. So in the last WFO General Assemblies, we also discussed about that, and the transformations of agricultural productivities and resilience and food securities discussed within this. And in the face of climate change challenge. Among those, it is agriculture has significantly to mitigate the impact from the climate change because of the capacity of agriculture and farmers. You know, farmers, they work a lot at the ground levels. They plant rice, they grow vegetable, they plant trees, and agroforestries. All this can sequester a lot to the carbon for the climate change. For my experience in my countries, I conduct feasibility studies to know the real story from the farmers, and they face a lot of problems. And I will talk later about that, why farmer cannot get access to credits, and we need the policy to support and need the programs on carbon market to support them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sota. You already insinuated that there will be more beef in your discussion if this not so climate relevant word can be used. I would now give the floor to Aurelia in Kenya. Could you please introduce yourself and what is your intake in this topic?
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Aurelia Nandwa. I'm Aurelia Nandwa. I work in a flower company in Kenya, and I'm an environmentalist and an alumni for the Nairobi Summer School, third cohort, which was this year. And I'm also a member of the Kenya platform for climate governance, that is Mount Kenya Forum. And I'm also the founder of a youth group, a grassroots youth group in Naivasha, which is called the Duro Youth Group, Eco-Entrepreneurship Forum, and which involves community development, environmental conservation, awareness creation on climate change, and capacity building on green entrepreneurship. Currently, I'm working in Rainforest Farmlands Kenya Limited as an compliance and ESG assistant. I've worked in the department for 6 months now. And for the topic, my main discussion will be on what as a company we are doing in terms of biodiversity conservation, what you're doing so that all our activities that involves from production to the consumption does not impact the environment negatively. That will be my major conversation today, and also my major focus will be on the schemes that we are involved in, that is the MPS, ABEC, and the global gap, that is the good agricultural practices. Yeah, thank you.
Very interesting. So you see that we have 3 continents and very different farmers who are in the panel today. I would like to now understand a little bit more, how do you as farmer representatives how do you see that these different certification or credit schemes are working? What is working well, and where do you see some bottlenecks? Maybe we start with the same order. So I would like to ask Ana Laura to start, please.
It's interesting, thank you Aurelia, to share your experience. I think in my case, I will start to speak for my case and my co-op. We don't access already about, for example, the carbon market. So that is a reality. We don't access, no? And we can say that, for example, one beehive is at least protected 3 kilometers around the beehive of forest. No, it's a radius of 3 kilometers. So can you imagine how many hectares we can protect or preserve with at least 7,000 beehives in the whole region of Gran Chaco Americano and 400 families? And I think that is the important impact of the forest protections, no, or for the farmers living there, because living there is not an easy treat, no. Without water, without connectivity and services and human rights putting on the tone, I think is like a pretty heroical part from the farmers still taking care about that rations, no. And I think it's the same for in other farmers. For sure, my partner can share the experience. And so we have 2 points here. The accessibility, and even though the democratization of that markets to achieve the basis. No? And one small producer for sure is not going to achieve this market for themselves, because it's not an individual issue and it's not an individual practice, because farmers work collectively. And we need to improve the organization of the farmers, the political representation of the big movements to achieve this market, or maybe to translate the carbon market to a local basis, no? To the local basis. We need to translate that part. And for the other part, I think we are really interested to talk about the opportunities that the farmer has, because that was the challenges. But at least if you see it in the other perspective, can be the opportunity for the farmers to access this carbon market and to increase the incomes just for protect some areas, or to have like the mitigation actions that we already have it, no? So I think to close my idea, because I think we don't have so much time, is democratization, accessibility, and for sure political representation for the farmer to access to this market, and to create that strategies or bridges between the market and the local farmers. No? And I think the organization, as Fairtrade and Juan Pablo say about the certification for the carbon in this case, can be pretty useful to achieve more farmers, more years, and to achieve more different regions. So I don't know, Tina, if I answered the question well.
Well, you started answering. We'll dig deeper a little bit more. But let's take Mr. Sotan. Maybe you could tell your experiences from Cambodia. How does it work, and what are the difficulties?
Thank you very much, Chair. Very critical question, because in Cambodia, actually, it is new for the carbon markets. So that's why myself have opportunities to meet with the government leaders, with the Deputy Prime Minister, to discuss with him about the program on carbon market to support farmers. We are the farmer organizations. We need to find something to support farmers and our members. So there's a lot of discussions with the Deputy Prime Minister in my country, and also the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fishery, and also the Minister of Environment in Cambodia, because all these people relate closely to the environment and the climate change. So that as a result, yes, there's a green light to open for us to pilot the project in Cambodia. So within the context of Cambodia, there are different kind of schemes. We have public forest scheme, we have community forest scheme, and farmer forestries in difference. So normally the company buys carbon sequestration from the government, the states. So for us as farmer organizations, we need money to go directly to farmers and the farmer communities because they suffer every day from the climate change. And you know, the production cost for farmer now is high, but the price of the produce is the same and even lower, even in the COVID-19 period. So we experience a lot about that. And for the community forest, it is the community forest. You can hear this word, but it is not owned by farmers. It look like you know, the farmer take care of that forest for the publics, for the governments, and the government allow farmer to take care of that forest to get some benefit from that forest, and some they can harvest from the forest, but they cannot cut the forest. This is not so clear within the communities, and my organizations work a lot to lobby the government and to talk to the government to ensure that the government can issue the ownership, the land title for these communities so that a farmer can feel ownership and they can sell carbon to the company or to the projects. And some communities, they are very strong in advocacy to protect the forest community by themselves. All the members are very strong. They stand up and they protect the forest community, and they ask for the recognition from the local authority. And during my feasibility study, the local authority also recognized them. I met the commune chief, the district officer, the provincial governor, and then, yeah, they recognize. They recognize it belongs to the community. But we need to ensure the land title belongs to them. And for the farmers' forestries, it's not a problem because they own their lands, they own their forestry. So we can work with them. But also a big problem, you know, because they try to chase on the markets. Small farmers, small communities, they cannot structure wealth from farm to markets. They expect buyer to come to the village, to the communities, to buy their produce. And when the buyer, the big buyer or the company do not go to the village to buy their produce, they have a problem with the markets. And that's why they depend much on the buyer from outside. And when they have a problem with the markets, they have to cut trees. You know, they have to cut trees. Even they grow it 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, they cut it. And they try to grow a new tree that meet market. And then when the market happen again, they cut that tree again, they grow another crop. This is a problem. And many farmers in my country, they grow a monocrop. For example, they grow cashew, all the farm are cashew. Mango, all the farm are mangoes, like that. So yeah, so that's why we need to talk to the program or the project or the company that should provide a specialty for farmers to meet the carbon markets, to avoid cutting down of a tree. And some farmer, it is funny to tell you that they said, oh, the condition of the program like 5 years or more than 5 years? Or can I, because my tree now, 6 years or 10 years or 15 years, can I cut them all and I grow again to get carbon markets? You know, yes, so there is a lot of questions. So there are also some other, these projects supported by AgriCord projects, which my organization is the one who conduct the feasibility study. Right now, my colleague still at the fields in collaboration with the university specialists to conduct that study. So we heard a lot of questions from farmers and a lot of challenge as well, as I told you about the cutting tree to chase market. And so far there are also programs to support smallholder farmer on soil or rice or vegetable with not clear market price. It's just the incentive to encourage them to continue their agriculture productions. So we need clear criteria or condition to ensure that they can enjoy our programs. As my colleague said, realities for them. We need to disseminate information broadly to farmers and farmer organizations and the forest communities to let them know clearly about the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sota. There are a couple of issues I noted already. There were issues related to land tenure and titling, producer prices, and we have to always remember that with this kind of offset schemes or biodiversity schemes, the funding is always additional. So there is a need for farmers to get income from other sources, which probably puts the pressure to fell the trees in any case earlier than you agreed in the scheme. But let's go into a completely different kind of a business on flowers in Kenya. Aurelia, would you like to explain what are your experiences? What is working well, and where do you see bottlenecks when you comply with these requirements? I hope we get the picture of Aurelia too. Okay. Aurelia, if you can hear us, if you could switch your camera and microphone on. Oh, she dropped out. Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Connectivity issues. This is also one of the realities in the rural areas where we work. Sometimes the communication means are not just there. But it's interesting because now you both have indicated certain problems in what you are seeing in accessing the different kind of payments or compensations. Ana Laura, you were saying that you don't really have an access to these schemes. What is the issue there if you have, so much of the forest that you are maintaining? So could you please elaborate a bit more?
So I think to be a little bit more clear, when I said to preserve the forest and these opportunities on the land and the territory of the farmers, I believe in some way that we already certify organic, we already certify Fairtrade. So in some way we should find a way, like in really operative way, to link this certification and standards that we already achieve and we already apply, to link it with the carbon market, yes, about talking about the mitigation or maybe the plans from 5 years ago into the future, and with resolution about the adaptation in general, mitigation. But I think we need to link that certification in some way, because if we add another issue for the farmers to certificate a new market, a new criteria, a new measurable things, and new tools in general, is quite different for the farmer, and mostly I think the farmer get not interested about it. Also, I think the price of the carbon market right now can be another topic to talk, no? How much, or at least to close the idea, I think when the impact, the truly impact, is gonna take in account into the taxes, for example, or in some way, or the prices of that, because the impact is not more a mystery. You know, we have impact in the social part, we have impact in the protection of the forest, we have impact in the protect the biodiversity, and also to preserve carbon in some way. And I want to put the impact on the table to measure the prices too, no? When is the impact going to take in account, no? And I think that it was my opinion about that topic, yeah.
Okay, so if I understand right, you feel that the price of the premium that you should get, or offset price, it doesn't really compensate for all the work and all the effort that you're doing.
Yeah.
So, but now I notice that we have Aurelia online again. I wanted to give the floor to you. Please, could you explain a bit, what do you find is working well, and where do you see the difficulties or bottlenecks in the system?
Okay, thank you. Sorry for that. Okay, for our company, we have certifications. The schemes that we're involved in are certification. The first one is the global GAP, that is the good agricultural practices. And the second one is the MPS ABC. I'll go first by the MPS ABC. For the MPS ABC, it involves recording data for the company that is in terms of the usage. It involves the 5 themes. The first one is we do record data for the crop protection, that is the chemicals you're using. Is it class 2 chemical? Is it class 3 chemical? Is it class 1 chemical? The amount of chemicals that you're using. And then the second one, we do record data for the amount of fertilizers that you're using in our company, that is nitrogen fertilizers, phosphorus fertilizers, then also the energy, then water usage, and also the waste that is being generated from our activities, that is through the production, processing, and maintenance activities of the company. So we do record our data in periods, and in a year has 13 periods. And through this data recording, the company is able to know the performance. How is it performing in terms of the usage? When the company has not used, maybe, let me say, class 1 chemicals, it has used maybe a little of nitrogen, phosphorus fertilizers, it goes hand in hand with the impacts that it brings to the environment. So the amount of data that you are recording from the activities that the company is doing, it enables us to know the kind of impact that we are bringing to the environment. And through this, through the performance, maybe, let me say, we're using maybe a renewable energy, we're using little nitrogen, phosphorus fertilizers, it has a good impact that is to us, both our business, and one is we are not impacting the environment. Another one is it creates a market, because the consumers will see that our product, it involves a little of carbon footprinting. Now, talking of the carbon footprinting, the company has not yet get there, but we are working with one of our customers to develop a calculator, that is a tool that will enable us to measure the amount of impact that you're bringing to the environment. Another scheme that the company is involved in is the Global Gap. That is the Global Gap. These are the good agricultural practices. And for the good agricultural practices, it also entails energy efficiency. How are we in terms of fuel, in terms of electricity, what the company is at. Also, the amount of greenhouse gases that the company is releasing to the atmosphere, and also waste management, the amount of waste we are producing. Do we record? Are there measures that are in place for the company to help reduce the amount of waste we are producing? Maybe are there ways? Are we recycling? The waste disposal methods, how do we dispose our waste? Also, in plant propagations, our plant that is certified so that we may not involve the GMOs in our production chain. So through this, the schemes that we are involved, I think MPS, ABC, and both the Global Gap, they're very much important, and they are good because as much as they're trying to protect the environment, we can see that they have also a good impact to our workers, because the moment we are using good agricultural practices, we are protecting both the environment and the health of our workers, and also it's cost effective, because the moment we are avoiding using a lot of chemicals, we are not polluting the environment, the waste is reduced, and we involve in more efficient ways like the IPM, which is integrated pest management system, which are more friendly to the environment, no effect to the workers and no effect to the environment. Also, in terms of energy, we can see that we are saving. It involves even the company to saving more. For example, when you involve yourself in renewable sources of energy, like solar, you will be able to save more and bring less effect to the environment. I hope I have answered the question.
Explained a lot how you do things. I didn't hear any of the problems, so could you tell a little bit more, like, where do you see that the challenges are when you have to comply with all these things? As you are talking about a company, so I don't know if you have difficulties engaging the workers or the farmers who contribute to your company.
Okay, thank you. For the involving of the workers, we do a lot of sensitization. Yeah, we get challenges more so in waste management, where we try as much as possible to engage the workers, and through this we do sensitization of the workers on a yearly basis, teaching them about what environmental conservation entails. Then we also brief them on the different certifications we have, and we also tell them how is it important for them and also for us and also for the environment. For the workers dealing, we do more of sensitization to enable them at least to be on the same lane on which we are as a company, so that we may be able to achieve whatever goals we've set. And also for easy or management, the company has the integrated environmental management plan, which is a document with guidelines that guides the company's activities, so that it may be able to minimize its impact to the environment. And the document, it helps a lot because it enables us to be on track with whatever goals we've set in terms of integrated air management, integrated soil management, integrated waste management, integrated water management plan, integrated energy management plan. So the environmental management plan that we have, it also isn't our way in terms of compliance, because the policies are there. We do display them, we do explain them to the workers. So it keeps work a little more easier because we have what we have in place, what we have to do. Yeah, with the guide of the document.
Okay, thank you, Aurelia.
I think that flowers are going to cost a lot without all the work.
Yes, maybe Mr. Sota, maybe you could elaborate. What are the real issues on accessibility and how you would solve them?
Yeah, thank you. I think according to my experience with farmers and member organization, I learned that capacity building is a challenging right now. And they need to build the capacity building, especially to data collections and preparation, because when we work with carbon market, we need to collect data from the farmers. And a big challenge is that in general, agricultural cooperative and producer association as member of my organizations, they do not have specific categories or divide a specific category for those who have forestry and vegetable. They just mix with the data. So it is challenging for us. That's why we need to conduct a feasibility study, before implementing the projects with the farm members. And other thing is we find a challenge also because many members, they grow existing tree more than 5 years already, and that the age of trees like 7 or 10 years. But of course there are new growers, but those who have existing tree, they also want to involve in the projects. And no clear policy within my countries on carbon markets, and we need to discuss more with the government at all levels, from the national to the subnational and the very ground levels, because otherwise it is disconnections between the national policy and the local governments. Sometimes they do not know this green light from the government, this some support, policy support, they don't know. So we need to work a lot to discuss with them and to negotiate with them to ensure that they support farmers at the ground levels. And currently the price for carbon market is also low. We need to ensure that farmers at least can get about 20 to 30 incomes additionally for their from their production to ensure the sustainability of the project and also sustainability of the forestry or the tree of farmers. So we also need to find a ways to help those farmers who have no lands, because some farmers, they rent land from other farmers. So this is also one of the challenges. How can we give the money to whom? To the owner of the land or to land renter. Yeah, so this is still questions in mind. And yeah, and land tenures, not all farmers have land titles. We need to also help them to access to land titles for those who get access or involved in the project, or at least there is agreement from local authority to ensure that this is their land. And lastly, I would like to say that the networking among the stakeholders in PPPP, public, people, organization, private sector partnerships is very important to work together in loops. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sotan. It's interesting. I hear a lot that the understanding at the farmer level is not the same as, you know, people who are creating the schemes. And there's a lot of work to be done on awareness raising and sharing the information. But let's take now that you were somebody who has funds and wants to use them for climate, carbon, biodiversity, or nature, and they would establish a scheme. So if you were this kind of a person, what would be, what are the features for a farmer-friendly certification or the compensation scheme? Maybe Anna Laura, you could share now, what would it look like if you would put together now a scheme for the smallholders?
For sure, would be great, definitely. And I think when the small producer, at least for my part, on my perspective, I can speak about them, because when we say farmer, I want to be clear, it's not something homogeneous, it's pretty diverse, and mostly it's not the same in a small farmer than the farmer big one, no, it's not the same. And I think the big one farmers already access to this market, so I think they have another opportunities to increase their incomes, and it's not the same for smallers, no. For the smallers, in this case, could be great because we already know how do it with at least nothing, or with small things. So we do big things with the small things in some way, with the small incomes. So if we have the resources, for sure, we can increase and have a scale in our system of productions in general, and doing well to the planet. So I think it can be that a little bit general, I think, because it's a wellness for everyone, and it's not just for the small farmer in that case, because if we put the money in the right decisions, I think the impact can increase more, no? So that's it, I think, yes.
Yes, okay.
I think can be the conclusion.
Thank you, Anna Laura. And then, Mr. Sotam, what would your scheme look like? What are the key features for a farmer-friendly offset or compensation scheme?
Thank you. I'll try to answer. Actually, yes, to increase income additionally for farmers is key, and to flow resource directly to farmer and farming communities, especially those smallholder farmers that they are facing a lot of problems, and they are in the front lines of the climate change recently. They are facing not only farming inflations, but also knowledge, capacity need to improve them to get access in the right positions. And yes, to help them because they contribute a lot to the food production, food security, and to also improve the livelihood of their families and their next generations with sustainability, so that they can send their young generations to go to school with the higher educations. And we also can change the mindset of the rural people, especially young people, to work on agriculture. If agriculture is not profitable and challenging with climate change seriously in the future, I think it is hard to attract youth in agriculture in the future.
Good, thank you. Maybe now we give the floor to Aurelia. What would be a farmer-friendly carbon offset scheme or nature-based payment scheme look like if you could design your own?
Okay, thank you. The first one, if the carbon scheme will help, that is facilitate access to a new market, I think it will be the best one. And the second one, which I think if it will help reduce the risk of harmful contamination of the producer's products, and also if the scheme will be able to maybe facilitate efficiency in production methods, I guess I can say those three.
Maybe I could now turn to Mr. Mahamadi Gaba. You have been listening to this discussion, so I would like to ask you now to do a summary of the key messages that you've heard, and maybe say some words about possibilities of Malian producers to get into this kind of offset schemes.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you, Tina, for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to be here. Before starting, let's maybe present myself. So I'm Mahamadi Gaba, and I'm from Mali, as she said. Currently, I'm based in Senegal, where I'm doing my PhD in climate change economics. So I'm specialized in climate finance. So it is a very great pleasure to be here and to hear all these experts on these topics. From my experiences, I have a little bit experiences in this topic because I was a consultant in a consultancy firm where we work on a technical specification for farmers to adapt some practices in agroecologic and agroecologic practices in the context of Mali. So it's very interesting to talk about these topics. And let's maybe summarize a little bit about what can be like a takeaway from all this discussion. So first of all, maybe I will try to highlight the challenges that most of you are raised. Yes. So when we can say like a farmer-centric approach to market creation and standard setting for carbon and natural basis is a very good approach because first of all it will improve the social outcome of the producer themselves firstly, and also it will also help them to increase the economic outcomes like the revenue, but also the social, the environmental outcome also, because when they are adopting these practices like good environmental practices, this can help them to increase the environmental practices. So about the challenges, I think all of you were talking about the difficulty to get access to the market, to the carbon market. Sometimes the market is not exist, and also the accessibility, for farmers to get also the market, like if they have their products or how they can sell their products on the market. You also talk about the political, the political barrier, because sometimes politician or legally you can say that there is no legally framework that can support this kind of scheme, this kind of this kind of initiative. So all these things can be challenges for them. You also talk about like the land tenure, like the ownership also for the farmers. So most of the times we don't, farmers maybe don't, have their own land, and sometimes they rent the land. So all these kind of things can be challenges for them. About the certification schemes, the people online also talk about her experiences on that. Also, she raised how they operate, to do this kind of initiative, like to record data for crop data, fertilizer data, energies, waters, waste management, and so on. Also, she talked about the impact that the initiative can have on the environment, and also she talked about sometimes insatisfaction that they also take. So, like this, also about the solution that you talk about here, you say that is to raise the capacity, to make some capacity building, especially in data collection, but also to have some specific categories in terms of data. Like when we have many kind of categories like production. So all these kind of things we have to maybe to categorize them and have some data on this. You also talk about the public and private partnership. I think it's very important also to raise that. At the end, all of them talk about the future, how maybe will look like the future scheme. So you talk about the system production, also to the right decision, like they put the money where is it needed, and also to flow resources to farmers directly and help them, to have all this capacity, to adopt the practices. So I think this is what I can summarize briefly, but I can also have some kind of notes that I take. Maybe I can also give as a contribution on the discussion. So first of all, from my experiences and the context of Mali, so in Mali we can say that most of the times we don't have the regulatory framework. If we don't have this regulatory framework, it will be very difficult to to adopt this initiative, like have the carbon market. So right now we can say there is no market-based solution or nature-based practices in Mali that adopt this kind of things. Secondly, I can add, like as you also said, data challenges. So when you want to send or you want to you want to sell some products, you have to to utilize some data and say that this is the contribution that the crop come with. So if it's not possible to you to say that this is the footprint of my products and how the products improve health, how the products improve also the environmental outcome. So it will be also difficult to send the market, to send on the market your product. So I think this also is relevant in the case of Mali, because farmers don't have this capacity to have data, to collect data on their products, and also to do that as a label on the product. Other thing maybe is the third one, I think, is the size of the market. So when we talk about certification or carbon markets, most of the times it's relevant to the size of the market. Sometimes when the market is very small, we cannot say that people will be very interesting to adopt this kind of practices because, as you know, it's talk many times, to produce, to adopt these practices. So when you come and at the market and you find that the market is very small and you cannot, and there is no, buyer, big buyer of the product, so it can be challenges for the person to adopt this kind of practices. So as a solution for all this problem, I think, first of all, maybe it's to create a national agency, that can help farmers to adopt all these practices, So if we can, all the countries, maybe the developing countries especially, because they don't have the regulatory framework. So if they can have a national framework that can help them, to adopt and have all this kind of document, so this can be, for me, the first step, to adopt these things. Another recommendation is to help the producer to get access to maybe the international market. So as I said, if we take the local market, sometimes they didn't pay attention for the products that they produce, that the people who adopt, we adopt the nature-based solution, so they cannot buy the product because it's very costly. So the thing is, if there is maybe some politics that can help, local farmers to get access, to the international market, I think that can also be a kind of sensitization for them to work on this. Thirdly, I think we also need collaboration between farmers and also between, cooperative. Like in Mali, we said cooperative. So farmer can come, we can have many farmers together, and it's like they have a group and they work as a group. So if, at local level, many farmers can also be together and, have this kind of collaboration. So I think when they are together, they can, have a good price on the market, and also they can have influence on the market. So I think collaboration also between stakeholders among all the value chain, like the one who go to commercialize the product, the transportation, and all the stakeholders involved on the market also can be relevant. Also, it will be interesting, to have some kind of training, as you said, so to develop and implement target training programs to address specific need of farmers. So this program should focus on sustainable agriculture practices, carbon sequestration techniques, and the use of nature-positive farming methods. And maybe at the end also is to adopt some kind of risk mitigation strategies, because adopt this kind of practices is costly. So if they can implement risk mitigation strategies to address uncertainty also associated with the sustainable practices, and maybe also to provide some insurance or financial assistance for farmers, to support and manage the potential risk and challenges. So briefly, my English is not very clear, good, but I try to have, summarize and, bring some of my point of view on that. And thank you, Tina. Yeah.
Thank you, Mohammadi. I'd now like to open the floor for questions and answers. So we have Keris Jones from the National Farmers Union of the UK assisting us there. So you can ask questions from all the panelists, or you can kind of target your questions to some of them. So the floor is open. Keris.
That's better. Hi everyone, as Tina said, my name's Keris and I work for a farmers organisation in England and Wales. And I've already, probably like you, got a long list of subjects that our excellent panellists have raised. I think hearing about carbon and nature markets from a supply side perspective rather than a demand side, I think is really refreshing. How these can bring benefits and opportunities for farmers at lots of scale if we get the design right. But the price also has to be right. These are not cheap bargain basement options. But there are risks too. The risk of perverse outcomes. We heard from Sota about what do you do for those farmers who have already had good practices for many years and seeing others benefit and so cutting down the trees. The importance of regulatory frameworks and the importance of public policy in supporting the development of carbon markets to ensure transparency and robustness. And then finally, I think both the challenges at all sorts of levels on monitoring, reporting and verification. And I think particularly working for a farmers organisation, how you make this easy for farmers because of the range of things that they already do. So whilst you're all thinking about questions, I might ask the panel just a very quick question, because I think I heard from all of you the need to build capacity amongst farmers to understand markets. Already I talked about the need to sensitize. And I was wondering, how does this happen? How do we build capacity? We also heard the value of farmers' organized structures, either farmers' organizations or cooperatives. And what sort of time scale do you think this needs to happen over? Anna Laura, would you like to go first?
Thank you for your final words. I think it can be controversial. Can I be controversial? Of course. So I think we already have the capacities. I know, and the capacity building and all these advocacy movements and looking at the farmers as, I don't know, something means sometimes to the farmers like people who don't have knowledge, no? And I think we already have knowledge, we already have our own capacities to develop our own models, no? And we have different models. We have different models of democracy, we have different models of organizations, we have different models for discuss things, to take decisions. And we already have, I can be like a little bit disagree about the data because I understand the necessity of recollect the data, of course, but also I think we already have it. But if we already have it, and how can put a value to that if the price is going to be the same for the commodity, if the price is going to be the same for the product? So how can we put on value the local knowledge? How can we put on value the local organization? How we put on value of the biodiversity that we already have? Because I think we are one step behind, no, of the discussion all the time. Maybe because we don't, maybe we don't feel that recognize it in some ways. And to try to adapt the new models and the new creations to the local, I don't know, how can I say this, the local characteristics in some way. So I need to about the data, mostly to close the idea. And for the other things, I need to use the existing tools to try to adapt the technology to the local knowledge and put the technology in front, maybe, or just in the same place as the local knowledge to work together and trying to translate all this knowledge to the market.
Thanks, Ana Laura.
Thank you.
Does anyone, I don't think every panel member needs to answer every question, but would somebody else like to answer this question? Or Aurelia, would you like to? Please. Sota?
Okay, I will try to answer. For me, I think, yeah, we need to disseminate informations. Oh, do you hear me? Okay. I think we need to disseminate informations about the projects or the programs in details to farmers and the communities. It's important to ensure that they understand very well about that, and also technical support for them. As far as I conduct the studies, the cooperatives and the producer association, they lack capacity how to take care of their nurseries, because nursery is very important especially for forestry farmers. They need to produce more new plant and deliver to their members. And we need to build the capacity of the key farmers based at the agricultural cooperative or the producer associations. And also in the current market demand, there's the needs of safe food, high quality food. So which standard they should apply? Because we have GAP standards, we have agroecologies, we have PGS, and some other applications. So we need to strengthen in this area of the capacity.
Thank you. If it's okay with panelists, I'll open the questions to the floor. Otherwise, I'm going to be a bad chair of this session and we're going to run out of time. So we have a microphone. Can I ask for maybe 2 or 3 questions now? Please put your hand up and the microphone will come to you. And then I'll ask the panelists to answer the question they want to. Thanks. There. I'd be really interested if there are people here from the market designing standards, whether you've heard something this morning that has made you change your mind, or also thinking from the bottom up. Are there people from farmers' organizations here who have heard something very similar? I know that from the UK, it might be surprising, but many of my farmers would have similar questions to what we've heard this morning or this afternoon. Any questions, please? Sarah, thank you. And can you please introduce yourself and say which organisation you're from? Thank you.
Yep, so Sarah Miller from Quality Meat Scotland. So we run a certification scheme for Scottish farmers selling red meat into the marketplace. And I wanted to ask a question around data governance. Our standards, we gather data as part of the independent verification of the standards. How do you as farmers feel about the use and governance of data, particularly around things like carbon footprints, which is a very hot topic in the UK just now?
Are there any other questions before I put the question to the panel? So while others are thinking, so we've talked about data in many different forms. How easy it is because that data already exists, or perhaps how difficult it is. And in the UK as elsewhere, is there a value to that data? How can we be transparent with farmers if their data is being shared across the supply chain? And how do we put rules in place so that everybody knows how that data is going to be used across supply chains? So I don't know if someone here in the room on the panel would like to answer that, and then I'll pass over to Aurelia. Anybody?
Okay.
It's difficult.
Let me try.
Yeah, you try. I don't think there are any right or wrong answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're at a very early stage. And then maybe Juan Pablo. Juan Pablo first and then Sota.
Yeah, it needs to be ruled by protected principles, right? So for instance, what we do is that when we commission studies to analyze the carbon footprint, the data goes back to the producers and is for the producers to use in their commercial transactions. But it is true, there's the tendency among multiple stakeholders to just collect information and share it with market actors without recognizing that that data belongs to the producer. So for instance, us, when we are doing the deforestation monitoring process, we collect the information, we support producers in cleaning the data sets, doing the deforestation analysis, and provide the data back to the producer so they can use that information for a market access.
Thanks, Juan Pablo. Sota.
Yes, a lot of questions also on this data collection. Not easy for us as well because that's why we depend much on the capacity building of the staff member, and also we depend on the satellites to do that, and also need to create the farmer councils to discuss within the agricultural cooperative or the community. Yeah.
Thanks, Sota. Aurelia, do you have a view about data and how it's used across the supply chain? Can you turn your sound? Can you hear me, Aurelia?
Okay, thank you. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Yes,
I don't
so a
think
question
I'm
about
able
data.
to answer the question.
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I don't think I'll be able to answer the question, but in terms of data, I think for us, it's really working for us because data, it also helps the company. You can also measure your performance, how you're performing. In terms of usage, it also guides you so that you may not go beyond excess. It's cost effective. I think for my end, data collection, it's good because it helps us also in monitoring our activities. For us, we involve more in capacity building. That's where we measure. And in terms of the question which it has been asked, the data, for us, I'm not able to answer the question right now because it's when we are starting our company. We have like now 6 months of data collection, and we're still working with a tool that is in assistance from one of our customers who are helping us to develop a tool to be able to calculate our footprint in terms from the data that you're collecting. So I think I'm not in a better position to answer the question now.
I think you answered the question very well.
Initial stage.
I think you answered the question very well. I think many are in the same position as you, that we're at the start of this journey. Although sometimes from a farmer perspective, it feels like the market is very well developed. So I am on time, which is incredible. So I'd like now to hand over to Kati Partanen, a farmer from Finland, just to close this side event. Kati.
Thank you very much, Keres. And thank you for the invitation. It was a bit on a short notice, but I love it, being involved in this panel. First of all, thank you for the interesting discussion. I think it was a really important topic, a farmer-centric approach to market creation and standard setting for carbon and nature. And thank you so much for very good practical views and examples from farm level and from three different continents. It was really beautiful. Just briefly about me, I'm a farmer in Finland. I'm maybe the northernmost farmer in this event, because my farm is on 63 north, 63 degrees north. So we have a farm and also forestry in our farm. Maybe some notes what I did during the event, and I think it's really important to spread the message, because this carbon markets is a really hot topic, and quite often, as Kare said, it's quite often from the demand side and not so often from the supply side, and not so much taking into account the farmer's view that what is really needed in farm level. And yeah, of course, we have to first say that the most important thing in farm level is to have ability to produce food. Also energy, fiber and ornaments, but food production and ensuring the food security is the most important thing. And that therefore carbon markets should be, there should be understood this connection. Also what was raised in the discussion was transparency and clear common rules for the markets, but at the same time taking into account the local conditions and different solutions. And I liked a lot this message that you should also value the practical knowledge from the local level. Carbon markets should be accessible for different sizes of farms, and it was very well highlighted here. It's not only those who are large farms, but special notice should be paid on, or attention should be paid on the accessibility to the carbon markets of smaller size farms, and also very important message about land tenure, that who is taking the profit? Is it the landowner or the farmer? If there is, for example, a farm who farms the rented land. And also that the market should be accessible also for different kind of business structures. Of course, price, which is always also an important topic. It should compensate the work and the efforts in the field level. And yes, it should, the benefit should not go, the financial benefit should not go to the middleman, but to those who really do the work and do the efforts. So we always demand in the World Farmers Organization and in farmer organizations generally fair income for farmers, and rewards should not go to those who are not doing the actual job. But it's quite often the strong. Where are the strongest? Is it the strongest the farmers or someone else? Capacity building, really important, both farmers but also farmer organizations capacity building. So raising awareness of risks and opportunities of the carbon markets is very important. In all topics we have to remember the sustainability, but sustainability from different dimensions, not only environmental but also social and economical. And it was very, very well stated that the meaning of the income and the welfare, family welfare, which was raised by Sota, that in farm it's about how you can increase the welfare of your family, and also the farming is very much connected to social welfare. Yeah, and also, as in the end, Kari said, the monitoring, reporting, verification. So it has to be reliable, a way for those, but yet not too heavy or bureaucratic. Thank you for this interesting discussions and discussion, and I'm delighted to hear this kind of event organized, and I'm sure that we will keep on being active in the discussion and keeping the farmers' voice loud. Thank you.